Hi guys, welcome back. So we've got some lighter news for you. We've got the fixture list for the 2023 Rugby World Cup in France. We've had the draw a while ago and I've done a video on that saying who I think's got the best pool. And, once again, guys, I'm just going to praise your comments on that video particularly. Was absolutely amazing. I'm pretty sure you guys are the best subscribers, viewers and commenters, especially in YouTube land. Just so intelligent. If you're not subscribed, consider doing it just for the comment section. I read them all and I learn a lot, and I love all the views. Whether you agree or disagree with me is irrelevant. So let's look at this fixture list. Now, first game up is, of course, involving the host France. And I remember saying in the draw video, I really hope France get New Zealand. And some of you are going, yeah, that's cool, but it probably won't happen. They want to guarantee that France gets, maybe a win to start with. But I think they've gone for the views. They've gone for the TV audience here, which is awesome. France versus New Zealand, first up on Friday, the 8th of September. It's going to be amazing. Now, French fans, New Zealand fans, maybe that's not the fixture you guys want first up, but certainly as a neutral, and I think you've got to appreciate that, it will get the World Cup off and running with a bang. That's so the way to do it, I think, kind of just for the whole tournament. And that will probably dictate, well, almost definitely dictate who wins that pool as well, which is always going to be important. Looking at who's in Pool B, obviously the strongest team from Pool B will play the runner-up in Pool A, so you always really want to win your pool, although that can get complicated depending on how the fixtures go. Now, looking at France, then they play a qualifier from the Americas. Then going through, they play a qualifier from Africa. And then finally, they play Italy at the end there. So really in this pool, it's all about that first game. New Zealand again. So France play Italy last. New Zealand play then a qualifier next. Then they play Italy third. But really, from what we've seen in the Six Nations, both France and New Zealand shouldn't have a problem qualifying. And really, it's all on that first game. So I guess you could argue it would be better to save the decider for later, but there's lots of other matches as well, and I think you want to open the World Cup with a big boom. So that's great news for me, but New Zealand fans, French fans, let me know what you think about that one, if you're embracing that big first game or not. Pool B is a really tricky pool. I've talked about this in the draw video. You've got South Africa, Ireland and Scotland, three big hitters in that pool. Ireland and Scotland will be desperate to get out of that pool because they haven't progressed hugely far in the World Cup so far. South Africa obviously will want to, but they have won quite a lot of World Cups already. One of those big three is not going to make it. Ireland start with a qualifier from Europe, which shouldn't be a problem. Scotland, however, start with South Africa. Absolutely huge game, straight out the blocks for Scotland. And you can make the argument of playing the best team, if you like, maybe first, or the hardest team first might be the way to go. But I still think you could probably do with a warm-up game first if you could choose it. But let me know what you think. So Ireland play a qualifier first and a qualifier second. Then it's South Africa. And then it's Scotland. So I think Ireland probably have the best order there. Scotland gets South Africa first. Then going on to a qualifier, and then Ireland last. So let's say, for argument's sake, Scotland don't win that game against South Africa. They may well do. But then it would be everyone takes all against Ireland versus Scotland. So that's actually set up quite nice, and I think that's kind of deliberate. Because maybe Ireland and South Africa, Ireland and Scotland both lose to South Africa. Possibly, it's a fair guess that could happen, and then you still get a really exciting game up last. So I think that's cleverly designed, that one there. So Ireland fans, Scotland fans, let me know what you think about that. I'd say Ireland fans probably a bit happier. On to Pool C, Wales and Australia together with Fiji. Now, a lot of the comments from the draw were, it's a shame we don't see more teams mixed up. We've got a lot of teams who normally play each other. But anyway, it is what it is, as they say. Let's have a look at the fixtures. Australia get a qualifier first up. Then Wales get Fiji as their first up game. Now, actually, I don't think that's too bad an idea. Fiji, one of their biggest drawbacks is time together. We know talent is not their limitation. It's time together and resources and politics and all that sort of thing. And one time they can get quality time together is in a World Cup. And I would expect them, barring injuries, to get better and better as they play together more. So playing them first, I think for Wales is a good call, because obviously that's going to be a tricky game. Then Wales will play a qualifier. Then Australia play Fiji, and Fiji would have had that warm-up game, if you like, that game to get them into the World Cup against Wales. So I think that's a bit harder for Australia. And then it's Wales, Australia kind of in the middle there, and then they have qualifiers to finish on. So yeah, I think for Wales will be fairly happy with that draw, slightly better than playing Fiji second. I'd say play them first, but you can make the argument maybe Wales would want a kind of an easier game first. But I don't know. I don't think that's too bad, actually, considering what Fiji are like in particular. A lot of other teams have had lots of time together in the past. Fiji don't tend to have that. Into Pool D, we've got England versus Argentina first up. I mean, there's quite a lot of good games in here anyway. So a fairly tough game there. And then England get, again, a tough game second. So they get their two hardest games out the way first. No excuse for not starting fast. They're going to have to, or someone's going home. So England get their two big games first. Now, if they can get over those games, get those wins, it's actually a great draw, because then they can mix up the team, they can play everybody, which I'm sure they would do if they win those first two games. I think they'd give everyone in their squad a run, rest a few niggles and knocks, so when they get into the knockouts, they would have their first choice team fully fit and ready to go. They could have a luxury in those last two games. But obviously, they'd have to win those first two games first. Which way round you'd want it, or maybe you'd want one of the easier games first, then those two games, but still not too bad. Anyway, so that's kind of my breakdown of the fixture list, of the teams we tend to follow here on the channel especially, but I want to know what your views are, guys. For your team, how do you see those fixtures falling? Are you pleased? Do you think it's going to be too tough? I'd love to know. Get into those comment sections, and I'll see you next time, guys, back with a Six Nations video, no doubt, and I will see you then.